I'm Jasmine Bibb, and welcome to the Woman It May Concern, the podcast. This season is different. Season 2. It's personal. It's honest. It's rooted in one journey. The journey of becoming. From overload to intention, from survival to design, from carrying everything to choosing self with clarity. Season 2 is a living conversation. It's about motherhood, identity, matrescence, and what it means to design a life that belongs to you and not just your responsibilities. This isn't about perfection. It's about truth. It's about becoming. It's about creating language for things we feel but don't always know how to name. This is To the Woman It May Concern, the podcast, and season 2 starts now. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of To the Woman It May Concern, the podcast. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. I'm your host, Jasmine Bibb, and if this isn't your first time, I appreciate your support, and thanks for listening to yet another episode. So I appreciate the grace as last week or the last couple of weeks have been extremely busy from a travel standpoint for my full-time job. And as a result, I haven't had an opportunity to record today's episode as I would have hoped and to have done all the editing while I was on the road and all the things. So instead, I decided to simply take a break, regroup, find my flow and kind of get back into my routine. And so this morning was the first morning I've had in a couple weeks that I've been able to wake up, work out, get back into my regular routine. And although I'm all about a change of pace, the last couple of weeks have been pretty tough, just mentally knowing that I'm not necessarily at home, right? Like I'm home, but I got somewhere else I need to be. And so the fact that I can mentally be home and I don't have any work travel in my purview for long periods of time coming up has been a great feeling this morning. And so with that being said, today is a really great episode, which is why I didn't want to do a half job on it. So today, we are talking about human design. And so I'll read my letter. Today's a solo episode. I'll share my thoughts. I'll give you an introduction to human design. If you are not familiar with it, give you some tips, help you understand it, and then give you some tools so that you can understand your human design. So with that being said, here's my letter for you today. To the woman it may concern. Finding my purpose has been high on my list of priorities for a long time now. Sometimes I'm really good at the pursuit, and then there are years, months, weeks where it falls completely out of sight, where it becomes more about survival or a false sense of life instead of who I am and what actually matters to me. I've prayed about it, gone to therapy about it, been coached about it. And I always find myself getting a little closer, but it often feels like I'm missing the centerpiece of the puzzle. I can't really explain it, except to say that life is happening all around me. But there are certain quirks and idiosyncrasies about myself that I've never quite been able to explain. And if I'm being honest, the world around me, more specifically, the working world around me, has spent a lot of time trying to tell me to forget about them. For a while, I listened. I drowned my inner self out, made changes that would allow me to fit in, to be received, to just go along with it. But even that didn't lead me to purpose. If anything, it caused more confusion. That was until I discovered human design. It has changed my life, my view on life, and more specifically, my view of self. So let me ask you something. What if there was an opportunity to finally receive language for why you operate the way you do? What if you could walk away with the confidence that who you are is exactly what the world needs, and the context to help you understand moments within yourself and with others that have never quite made sense? Would you believe me? Stick around. We've got some things to talk about. Jasmine. So that's my letter for today. Today, for this episode, I am going to give you a piece of that manual that I am talking about because it does exist. It's almost like the best kept secret hiding in plain sight that most people don't realize or recognize as a resource for them to utilize as a part of their day-to-day lives. And when I say it is life-changing, when you get to know more about yourself and maybe not, my purpose equals blah, and like this really detailed explanation, but instead this like atmosphere or this direction that confirms you're moving in the right way or that you need to turn slight left or slight right. And so I think that in today's society, there are a lot of individuals reflecting on who they are and what matters to them and where they spend their time and what they're willing to sacrifice and what they're not willing to sacrifice. And so I think a lot of us were handed a version of ourselves that were shaped by people's comfort. We have learned to perform, suppress, override, and really call that exhaustion that we feel, oh, that's just life, right? As mom, I'm working, I'm wifing, I'm momming, I'm friending, I'm doing all of these things. And at some point, it gets exhausting. You love it, right? Wouldn't trade it for the world, but that doesn't mean you're not exhausted. And we simply say, oh, that's just life, right? But is it? Based on who we're meant to be, based on who we are and how we're structured, is that just life? For some, I would say maybe that's the definition. And for others, I would encourage you through this episode to take a deeper look and really understand what just life means for you and what your capacity is for quote unquote just life. I think that um, the thought is that if you can't do things the way that people want you to, or the way in which people believe you should do it, you're broken, right? You need to catch up. You need to meet their expectations. You need to align with what they expect of you. But I would challenge you in this episode to know that that's not necessarily true. And here's why I say that. There's this piece where we are fighting ourselves. And so therefore we believe we're failing at life because of what people tell us we should be doing and how we should be acting and what we should be saying and how we should be moving. But maybe that's how their lives are meant to work. Or better yet, maybe their lives aren't meant to work that way either. And someone has given them, they've inherited this thought or this concept that they continue to push forward narrative wise that may be inaccurate for not only you, but for them too. And so I'd like to share a little bit about maybe, what brought me to human design and what it has done for me, guys. Anybody who will listen, if I'm talking to a friend on the phone, via text message, over a meal, or on the couch, I will always ask a person the question when it feels right. Hey, have you heard of human design? And they'll say, no, what's that? And so I'll tell you what it is, but let me tell you a little bit more um, first about the background of it. So I'm going to read my notes because I want to make sure I get this right. So what is human design? So born from astrology, I Ching, and Kabbalah, as well as quantum physics, your human design is calculated from your birth date, the time you were born, and where, location-wise, you were born. So once you put that information in, and I'll tell you where you can find a tool to put that information in at the end of the episode. Um, Once you put those three things in, and you want to be as accurate as possible with those three things because you want accurate output from a results standpoint. So if you don't know what time you were born, most people know the date, your birthday clearly, and most people know the location. Oftentimes I've noticed with this, people struggle with the time in which they were born. So it's really important to get as close as you possibly can to that. But anywho, so what does human design based on this culmination of things produce? So it produces a chart map for you. And that chart map encompasses your energy type, your decision-making abilities, your authority, your defined and undefined centers, as well as your profile. So energy type, decision-making, authority, defined and undefined centers, and your profile. And so your energy type, there are 5 energy types that anybody, once you put this information in, it will spit out one of the 5. So you've got your manifester, and a manifester is someone who is built to initiate and here to act first. You've got a generator, and a generator is the life force here to respond and build. You've got a manifesting generator, which is a multi-passionate, fast-moving, non-linear individual. You've got a projector, so someone who is here to guide others, not built to hustle like everyone else. And then the rarest of them all is a reflector. And a reflector is someone who is here to reflect the health of their environment. So again, you've got a manifester, a generator, a manifesting generator, a projector, a reflector. Those are the 5 types that once you put that information in, it will output. And although there are only 5 types, there are combinations within your chart map that are not like a cookie cutter. So you got your 5 things that you could potentially be, but then the makeup of your decision-making ability, so where you make decisions from, how you deal with certain instances, how you interact in crowds, um, where your wisdom comes from, or how you're meant to help other people. All of those things will be different based on, again, the personal information you input about yourself. So just because you're a manifester, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to have the same profile. Everybody's going to have the same authority type. Your information is going to be personal, specific to who you are as an individual. And so something to know is that every energy type has a strategy to exactly what I'm saying. So think about it like that. So you've got your energy type, but you've got a specific strategy that makes you who you are. And something that I've realized through human design is that when you live against your energy type and your strategy, once you're aware of it, oh, you will feel it. Oh, you will feel it. Like, I don't know any other way to put it. And so my human design, or my introduction to human design. So for me, when it comes to human design, you've heard me interview uh, my forever life coach, Steph Tresca, a few times. Season 1, she read a letter, and season 2, she came on. I think it was episode 2, and we had a conversation around the fact that everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs a coach, a therapist, something, and someone. And so I was first put on to human design by her. I believe she's a manifester. She had mentioned that in a conversation. I thought, well, that's interesting. And then I went to a women's event a few years later. And with that, and at that women's event, it was like a women's wellness event, and they had like lightning talks where like every couple of, I don't know, maybe every 45 minutes, there would be like a 10-minute interview with like a subject matter expert about a topic. And so in this particular event, one of like the lightning talks was around human design. And this human design practitioner came up. And again, at this time, I heard of it before, but I'm still not really aware of it. So she talks about, I'm a practitioner. I can read your chart, your date of birth, your location, your time, all of those things. And so she starts talking to the person that was interviewing her, and they're talking about their types, what they are. One was like a manifesting generator, and the other one might have been a projector. And so as they're talking about this, I'm like, wow, this is really fascinating. And so at the end, she gives us her website to be able to go out and figure out our own energy type. So I go out, ask my mom for my time of birth, and put the 3 things in. And it pops back that I am a projector. And so something to know, you could be thinking right now, well, I mean, how is this different from being an Aquarius, a Capricorn, a Sagittarius, a Gemini, the whole thing? Keep with me. Or you may have another individual that might say, well, how is this different from like a disc assessment or something like that? Stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. And so, excuse me. So it populates that I'm a projector. So I'm reading about like my authority. I have like a sacral authority, meaning I make decisions from like my intuition. And what's crazy is, as you know, or maybe don't know, your intuition, you really gotta like listen and pay attention because it's so low and it's such a knowing feeling that if you're not careful, you will miss it. So I'm like, okay, like that's fine. I guess. And so I'm continuing to read more about, my split and my defined and my undefined and all of these things that when I give you the tool to visit, it'll give you definitions to make all of this clear. And so the piece, y'all, that got me, and I thought, oh my goodness, what have we stumbled upon here? It spoke about the fact that that in order to be at my best or to operate in a certain way, I am someone who has to wait for an invitation. And so people say, well, what do you mean you have to wait for an invitation? And so as I began to read the details of what it meant to wait for an invitation, it was spot on. I mean, like spot on. And so I can't remember exactly what it said, but to sum up what that means, I am someone that wants to ensure that whatever I say is going to be valued by others. So as a result, I could be in a meeting and for years, this is a true story. For years, my boss would say to me, Jasmine, I really want you to speak up more. Typically when you do speak up, you've got the right answer and you know what you're talking about. But just enter the conversation sometimes. You don't have to, sit there quietly. And so for years, I kept thinking, well, let me interject myself. He said I got the answer and he said I shouldn't be quiet. I don't want him to think I didn't hear his feedback, or I don't want him to think I'm disengaged. And so in reading that projector outline, that is exactly why I don't speak up or wasn't speaking up. And so what do I mean when I say that? I've learned through human design that the reason that I wasn't speaking up in those moments is because for me, it is more important to ensure that whatever I have to share in a room is valued and is of value by those in the room. So, to that example of my boss, to his point, it wasn't that I didn't know the answer. It was I was waiting to be invited into the conversation to ensure that what I had to say would be valued and would not be passed over. And the reason why that is important is because my flip of waiting for the invitation from my human design perspective is bitterness, meaning when I do speak up and it is not valued or it is not of value to someone, I become bitter. And when I say that's real, I mean it. It's like I do have a lot to say. And if I were to pipe up in a room and people were to just overlook it, even though it was spot on, kind of one of those things when you're like, Is there an echo in the room? Did I just say that? Didn't I just say that? It's kind of like that, where I know what I'm talking about, but I've learned to read a room because in my human design, I am here to guide people and I am not here to hustle and I am here to understand individuals. I am a good judge of character. I can say that confidently. And so I can read a room to understand how I'm going to be perceived, if I'm going to give value to the room, and if the room is going to value what I have. And so in those instances, that typically now determines how I decide to proceed. And so if I think there's an opportunity for me to give value and have it received and move things forward in a positive way, I'm going to do that. But if I think I'm going to be shut down or chastised or something of that nature when I'm just trying to help a situation, you're not getting it from me. And if you do, I'm going to be bitter when we're done doing what we're doing. And you're going to know that I'm bitter. And that ain't a good thing. And so I say all of that to say, I also learned from a human design perspective, which this part blew me away. I come from a lineage of women that do, go, go, go. I'll say that again. Do, go, go, go. And so that's the way I've always been. I'm going here, doing this, doing that, cleaning, cooking, finding something for my daughter to do. It's Saturday, and instead of sitting in the house, let's go do 5,000 things before bedtime. Instead of let's do one thing or let's do nothing. And so I thought that was the way to go, right? I've got a high capacity for movement. My human design as a projector taught me the opposite. It actually taught me that I only have about, especially like in a working space, about 3 to 4 strong hours of output before I have to like go sit down and do nothing or do something that's like low capacity, low energy, because I burn out extremely easy. And initially I found that hard to absorb. It's like, what? That that's not true. But I thought, well, let me try paying attention a little bit to see if that's true. And so sure enough, I would burn out a couple of hours into my day, and not burn out like, oh, I need a nap, but like I just didn't have the drive to do certain things. Like I would space out. I would find other things to keep me busy instead of kind of focusing on the task. And I realized it was because I'm not meant to just hustle, hustle, hustle. And so as I began to incorporate or be more mindful of the fact that I only have a certain number of hours in my energy bank each day, I am very selective on what I do with that and how I choose to use my time to ensure that I'm preserving my time, my energy, and my mental capacity for the things that really need me. And so I think the biggest challenge I have right now in doing that is the balance of what that looks like as I continue to build the Overachiever Mom Collective, but still carry a full-time job. How do I ensure that both are getting what they deserve from me? And so it's a constant reorganization of priorities. And sometimes if I have like big working days or projects or certain things, I will do smaller outputs of the OAM collective, and vice versa. When I have it to give more and work is kind of slow, I'll kind of go in pretty hard on the Overachiever Mom collective, all the while being mindful of my energy type. So if you follow me on social media, I did a reel at the top of the year where I talked about taking a step back and kind of recharging my nervous system and all of that. And so I did that, right? That was what I was really heavy into, learning about human design and really experimenting to understand, how does this all work? How does this all flow? What does this all mean? And so it was cool to kind of have that reset in a different way that maybe I had never given myself before. And it energized me and it helped me to understand that that was true. Based on my energy type, when I took that solo trip, I put together an agenda that would give me like a lot to do, but like not tire me out. So I did like a winery a day, but then I might have a slow night. or I might go to dinner, or I might go on some type of tourist tour or something. But like, I didn't overload my schedule. Like, oh my gosh, I'm only here for a few days. I have to get all of this in. I have no idea when I'm coming back. So I took it easy based on who I am learning that I am. And it was beautiful. And I would highly recommend it. And I will tell you how you can do some of those same things when you look more into your energy type at the end of the episode. And so I think, if anything, learning that I am a projector has been validating when I think about the fact that I am here to guide. When I say my jam is sharing my life experiences with the goal of either helping someone realize that they're not in it alone, or just simply not being afraid to put my life on display, because it's not perfect and it is a work in progress. And I do know that it gives some people comfort and validation. I am here to, as my particular profile told me, my wisdom is, or excuse me, my life is a curriculum for me to teach other people. So the wisdom that I um, have, or am continuing to grow, comes as a result of my life being the curriculum that helps me lead the way for others. And so that in itself to me is validating. That is why I do To the Woman It May Concern. That is why years ago I did Letters to a Millennial. It's all about my journey and helping people either realize that they're not alone, or helping them realize these things could happen to them, or simply just giving them comfort and guiding the way. And so I believe that a projector profile for me is spot on. And I only continue to believe that as I dig deeper into human design and follow different human design practitioners and learn more. And so when you stop fighting your design, you stop explaining yourself. Because when I say I have taken a back seat to ensuring that other people are comfortable, and I am leaning more into what I want to see happen and what makes me happy, and not being so quick to bite my tongue, good or bad, for the sake of someone else's feelings, but instead what works for me, it's been very freeing. It has caused me to lose people in my life, but that's okay, because I'm becoming more comfortable with who I am and I'm learning more about myself. And some people come into your life for a season and others for a reason. Um, so I've started to make decisions based on my human design profile, and that authority and that decision making and that energy type. And when I say that human design goes so much deeper, it talks about or teaches you about your fears. It teaches you about your motivators. Um, but that's deeper work, that it takes time to understand why certain touch points within your human design chart connect and others don't. And I've done it on my husband to understand that he's a manifester and what that means for him as an individual, but what that means for our relationship and how we should be working, a projector and a manifester. I've done it for my child. Granted, she's only 4. And so you can't be like, okay, here's the map as to how I'm going to raise her. But it's more so when I think about like her interests, the things that she's going to maybe be good at, or spaces in which I can give her certain hobbies that will, bring her joy, even if it's just testing it out and it may not be accurate. So up until this point, my daughter is a generator. And so as a projector, how do I interact with a generator in a way that, you guys know I'm really big on? I don't want to silence her. I want to ensure that she has the best opportunity to be who she was created to be. But at the same time, I also need to parent her to some extent so that we both make it to like see her grow old. um, but I say all of that to say, when you begin to understand your human design type, you stop trying to be this version of yourself that fits other people, and you start being this version of yourself that works for you and your surroundings. And so again, it's so deeply rooted and there's so much to it. But I think the easiest way to start is with things like your energy type and your defined centers and your profile and your authority. And then from there, you can kind of branch off and understand. It's like literally like the human design chart. If you were to go Google it, it looks like a body. And then it has like all of these little like centers and lines and circles and colors and things on it. Um, That's not what you get when you typically put it into a tool from an output perspective. It's a lot more simplified. But as you get deeper, it is pretty cool to pull up a chart like that for yourself and go deeper if that's something that you're truly interested in. And so, with that being said, as I wrap up today's conversation, my goal for this season, again, has been for season 2 to be a living classroom. And so taking the experiences I've had and the things that are making me a better person and sharing the wealth, being the projector, being the guide, sharing the resources. And so in sharing this information is simply because human design has been a tool that has really helped me to better understand why and how I am wired the way that I am. And so, in understanding those things, it shows me my place in a room, my place with myself, my place in my household, my place in the workplace. And as a result of that, why I shouldn't silence myself, why I shouldn't shrink, and why, if anything, I should play big. Play big. Shout out to Tara Moore. If you've never read the book Play Big, your human design profile will help you learn to play big. And so, what I will say to you is for you to go pull your chart. The human design tool is on my website, so jasminebib.com. It's under the section Discover Your Design. I'll link uh, the link to my website in the show notes so that you're able to easily go find it. But again, as I say, go take it. Again, you need your birth date, your birth time, and location. But go to jasminebib.com, take the human design profile, you'll put that information in, and it will output what your profile type is. And so I've invested, I said that with a capital I, invested a lot of money into this tool to ensure that it's accurate. I've done a lot of testing, a lot of reiterating to ensure that the output that you get is one, easy to understand because human design can be difficult to understand, but that it is accurate and that when you read it, you're trusting the credibility of the tool that I've built to know that it is giving you accurate information and it is helping you navigate life in a way that brings you comfort and brings you clarity. And so in addition to that, something that I will say is, as you guys know, I have opened the doors or opened the wait list for the Overachiever Mom Design Framework cohort program. And so within that program, human design is a whole module. So a few weeks ago, we talked about the fish tank, thought leadership of Dr. Sophie Brock and how that works when we think about the fact that we are the fish as the mother, the bowl, the water, and how that plays into how we move and who we are. Well, within this same program, I take human design and I pair that in with the fishbowl concept and help you understand not only your fishbowl, but how that plays into your human design type and how we re-engineer that in a way that is beneficial to the individual that you are becoming. And so if you're interested in continuing to learn more, again, you can take the human design assessment on my website. And at the same time, you can also sign up to join the waitlist for the Overachiever Mom Design Framework program. Hasn't kicked off yet, but the waitlist is still open. And again, the next couple episodes, the things that I will be discussing, starting with the fishbowl concept and now human design, are a part of the framework program. And I've designed it in a way that is my lived experiences, taking what I've known, re engineering those things, and putting them together in a way that allows me to be my best self and operate at a level that will help me move towards the individual that I'm becoming, is my focus for me and for anybody who's interested in that. So thanks for listening today. As always, you can find me at the Overachiever Mom on Instagram. If you're interested in a conversation, I can be reached at HELLO at OAMcollective.com. Check out my website, jasminebib.com. A lot of tools, information about the design framework program, information about the human design work that we've talked about today. And as always, I appreciate you. Share this episode if there's someone who could use it. And I think that's all for now. Bye, guys.